shut it down in the club, getting fucked up. If you drunk, fuck them, put your fists up.
It's going down tonight. And while you're home, that's right.
Time shut it down in the club.
Gentlemen, welcome once again to the Monkman, Marl Kalone. I am your host, as always, the Monkman. And this is Season 1, Episode 26 already. We have a great topic to go over today. It's something that I hope even the older men are going to learn something from. But I especially believe that the younger men can learn some things here. And we're going to discuss a lot of it in detail so that the young men can get from point A to point B on this and understand why this has been such a large magnitude scam that's been perpetrated on men for a century and a half. So let's, without further ado, let's jump right into today's topic of discussion. Diamonds. Diamonds are a subject that is sore to me, and I'll explain to you why. Because I have been part of a gold and a gem group here in my home state for the better part of the last 15 years. We meet up once a month, and we discuss not only mining for gold, but we discuss precious gems, claims for precious gems, and the financial value of some of these gems and the gold as the prices fluctuate and go up and down. So I've had the opportunity to see firsthand for over 15 years how this scam has been perpetrated on the general public, aka the men that are buying these. Let's start from the beginning to give you some foundation. And all this information that I pull up can easily be pulled up by any of you to verify and also to go back and read if you want more detail. But we're going to start on Wiki with De Beers. Now, De Beers is by and away largely considered the first, for lack of better terms, the first diamond mafia, so to speak. And I like to use that term because that's exactly what they have been for the last century and a half. But De Beers, they started as it was a businessman who financed an exploration for diamonds, in effect, and this was back in 1888, and it was financed by Rothschild and Sons. I'm sure some of you are familiar with Rothschild, but a British businessman named Cecil Rhodes was who founded De Beers. Now, De Beers went out in 1888. They managed to find a huge cache and stockpile of diamonds, and in a lot of times they did this in places that were war torn and war ravaged, and they were still doing this in modern day, by the way. I think there was a movie with Leonardo DiCaprio that covered this very topic. That was a true story. But they went out, they were able to secure huge stockpiles of diamonds and other precious jewels, and it immediately catapulted the company up to the biggest company in the world. Now, once they became the biggest company, they became a complete global monopoly on the diamond industry. Complete monopoly. They controlled every diamond that went through pretty much any buying market, any auction. They controlled it. All right. Now, as they controlled that, they also learned to control the supply that reached consumers. Therefore, they would stockpile, if they had excess diamonds at any given time, they would stockpile those diamonds so that they could keep the prices artificially inflated for the public. They also came up with this scam that's been perpetrated on men for many, many years now, and they eventually decided beyond the industrial uses of diamonds that they were going to take diamonds that were originally only the wealthy could afford to live in luxury and afford diamonds, diamond jewelry. This wasn't something that the common man had back in the day, right? This was something reserved for royals, kings, queens, emperors. These were the type of people that had the exquisite jewelry made with diamonds and precious jewels. The common man, common woman did not have them. De Beers decided to change all of that. They decided that they were going to start marketing diamonds to the common man and to women specifically, as this was a girl's best friend. Diamonds are a girl's best friend. They also began to market these diamonds so that men could purchase these as symbols of their love for a woman. If you really loved a woman, and this goes for just the common man at this point, you would purchase a diamond ring or a diamond brooch or a diamond necklace to show your love to this woman. So they began this scam to rake in literally billions and billions of dollars. Okay? And at this point, as many years as it's been, we're talking a century and a half, we are into the trillions of dollars for the worldwide diamond market. Now, they went on to control the diamond industry from top to bottom until right up in 2011. Now, the Oppenheimer family, they owned a majority stake, from what I understand, in De Beers for quite a long time. I believe it was, it was like 80 years or something. That's something you can look up. Point is that they owned a huge stake in De Beers, so they had a controlling interest in stake. So this diamond hoax that's been perpetrated on the general public has gone on for the better part of the last 150 years, and the majority stake was just recently finally sold and started to break up this monopoly, or so they say. No action has really been taken since 2011 to show it's been broken up. You have another company that now has an 85% stake. So to me, that's still a monopoly. But the point being is, this particular family controlled the direction and the interest of De Beers, the Oppenheimer family, for the last 80 years or so. Okay? Now that you kind of have some background on De Beers, who that diamond mafia is, we're going to specifically talk about diamonds. Now, diamonds are not as rare as people are led to believe. In fact, as I told you, I was part of that gold and diamond group. There was people in this group. A man in particular went along and did a wanderlust, I guess you call it, and I believe he was in, I want to say Australia. Don't quote me on that. It could have been Australia or a South African country. Point being, he did a wanderlust, and he was walking along, and on the surface of the ground, mind you, this is not in the ground, this is not him digging, this is him walking, he found a huge chunk of gold that was, at the time, he brought it in a briefcase with a gun and handcuffs to his wrist to show all of us. But it was like a $25,000 piece of gold at the time. And this is back before the prices raised. This was right around the recession, 2008 perhaps. So now it would be worth even more, maybe $40,000 or $50,000. But beyond finding the gold, he also brought in a bunch of examples of uncut diamonds that he found on the surface. Now, this isn't some fluke. This isn't something that happened to one guy. There are areas on the planet and mines and controlled operations that have been bought where diamonds are so prevalent they can be found on the surface. Now, that doesn't mean that clarity of diamonds, real clear diamonds aren't more rare. They certainly are. But the majority of us that buy jewelry and buy jewelry for women, I'm not one of those, but I'm speaking about men here. The majority of us who buy jewelry aren't getting those clarity cuts. Those are reserved for the most luxurious pieces. We typically get the average clarity diamonds, right? Now, beyond the superficial and the made-up value that De Beers and the other diamond mafias of the world have given these diamonds, which, by the way, these diamonds are mined in Asian countries, in Russia, and I believe India is also another big one, but also South African countries where that Blood Diamond movie, I believe, takes place. If you ever get a chance to watch it, check it out. I understand it's a great movie and it tells a lot about the story. But anyway, the majority of these diamonds are mined in those places, and the majority of these diamonds are not going to have that clarity. They're going to have an average clarity, and therefore they're sold to the general public, right? I hope everybody's following me so far. So you have these diamonds, and what value do they have besides the made-up value that's been sold to us by De Beers and the rest of the diamond mafia? Well, the only value that diamonds really have are industrial uses, right? They're used in sanding applications on grinder wheels, sanding pads, things of that nature. They're used in laser applications. There's uses like that where they have a bona fide use. They certainly do have a place in industrial use, and there's certainly an intrinsic value there. However, that is not where the majority of the money in the diamond industry is made. The majority of the diamond industry makes its money on selling this gimmick to us that in order to show our love to a woman, that we must then buy her the biggest and the best diamond that we can possibly buy. And I've seen stories out there now that say that not only should you buy your woman a diamond, but if you're not a cheapskate, quote unquote, then it should be 3 months worth of your salary. I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous and nuts that our men buy into this gimmick. These diamonds, when they're originally found and purchased by the diamond mafia from the miners in these countries, and Guyana is also another country. You may have seen that on Gold Rush, but they're also another country in South America that does a lot of gold and diamond mining. These diamonds are purchased literally for a cent to maybe a cent and a half on the dollar. I mean, they buy these diamonds in bulk from these miners and pay them almost nothing. They then cut the stones and then sell this image to citizens, common citizens, and they mark these things up 1,000 times what they paid. That's absolute truth. You can research this on your own and find this out. Now, who would you guess would be the biggest buyer or user of these diamonds? Well, of course, it's the United States, far and away. Why is that? It's not the industrial applications. It's the diamonds that have been sold to us through this scam, through this perpetrated scam. So tell me, why would we be the biggest diamond consumers when they're not being used for realistic industrial applications? Well, I'll tell you why. Because we also have the biggest disposable income on the planet. It's no coincidence that we have the biggest disposable income on the planet, and we are far and away the biggest diamond consumer with no value to that consumerism. Here's how they've done it. They've been able to run clever advertising campaigns through the decades, and also get media stars such as movie stars and music stars to get on board and wear their jewelry, a lot of times on loan, at events such as the Academy Awards, the Grammys, Oscars, everything else. They loan these huge pieces out. A lot of times these pieces are owned, the pieces themselves are owned by somebody in the diamond mafia. And not only do they own them, but typically they come equipped with security personnel to follow that person around the entire event to guard their diamonds. Typically, these are pieces that are $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, and you'll see the women wearing them. It could be a giant, gaudy, necklace. It could be a particular ring that's like 30 carats. It could be some kind of wrist bracelet, whatever it is, right? You'll see these at events, and then they'll take a lot of pictures, because what it does is it helps to increase these diamond sales. Now, beyond that, they also run very clever advertising campaigns, such as I think it's Zales, "A Diamond is Forever." And they always show the man down on a knee giving the woman this diamond, and she's like, "Oh my God, this is so great." And they always have shit like this in their advertising campaigns, right? All of this is very masterfully crafted by design to separate men from their disposable income. Let me repeat that for you. That is what I was getting at with this entire video. The advertising campaigns and all of their promotional campaigns are designed, men, yes, men, I'm talking to you, they are designed to separate you from your disposable income. Period. Point blank. That is how these diamond groups have become super international diamond mafias with trillions of dollars in sales over the last 100 and some odd years. So, in closing, on all of the information I've just given you, my thoughts are this. Men, you need to stop being swept into this web of lies. Do not buy women jewelry anymore. It is an absolute scam perpetrated on the public. The women have fallen for a hook, line, and sinker with the princess mentality. You men are the only line in the sand between separating all of your money and giving it to these diamond mafias. You're the only line in the sand for that. Now you can make the ultimate decision. Do you want to waste all of your income on what amounts to a near useless stone, or would you like to use your brain and common sense and stop buying into this madness? I stopped years ago, years and years ago. I got married. I bought my wife a ring. I can tell you this, it was not a ring that cost me 3 months of my salary. There was no way in hell I was ever doing that. There's men out there, and by the way, my ex-wife went on to remarry, and she married a guy that couldn't afford to get them into their own place. They lived in his parents' house, and yet he went out and purchased her a $16,000 engagement or wedding ring. You can't afford your own place for you and your new wife, but you can go out and purchase a ring that costs as much as a cheap new car. Where is the common sense in that? That is exactly what I'm telling you, men. Use common sense. These diamonds are worth pennies on the dollar for what they sell them for. Period. Point blank. I know that because I've been in a group for 15 years that studies this stuff. I'm telling you. And I know there's going to be simps and cucks out there that argue with me that it's this or it's that. No, it isn't. All the information that I've just said is all readily available on the internet. When diamonds are used to sell to women, it is an absolute scam. Period. Period, point blank. You're paying up to 1,000 or 2,000 time markup on that diamond from what it originally cost the diamond mafia and the store to buy. There's a reason why the industry is as big as it is. There's a reason why there are so many jewelry stores with diamonds. Think about it. Use your mind. Stop purchasing into this gimmick and this scam and this fraud that has been perpetrated on the American public men for damn near 140 years now. Stop it. Unless you want to be a simp and a cuck the rest of your life and bow down to women as they certainly would like you to do, stop it. All right? Now, you can go through, you can find all this information very easily on the interweb that I've posted here. Give me your thoughts. Give me your comments. If you have a question I didn't answer, leave it in the comments. I'll try to answer it for you. I hope, you could go a lot more in depth than this and you could spend an hour talking about all the details on this. But I hope this little synopsis was enough to give you a general idea on how the diamond market works, and you can certainly go out and research the rest on your own. Until next time, gentlemen, as always, stay the fuck red-pilled.
Where credit be due, nobody rep you to the way I do. I've been thrown down, nigga one since day one. Son coming at me with your gun, really don't want no word from me would have your whole crew done. Dishing out capital punishment like big puns. Time to shut it down in the club, get fucked up. If you drunk, fuck them, put your fists up.
It's going down.